Have you ever thought about why some places are cold and snowy while some places are flat and good for farming? Why do most people live in plains? Why are mountains important for rivers? And why are plateaus rich in minerals? In today's video, we are going to revise Chapter 3 Landforms and Life in a very simple and exam-friendly way. We will understand what landforms are, three main landforms: mountains, plateaus and plains, deserts, rivers and human life, and important exam points. So listen carefully, take notes and watch the video till the end. First we have a quote from Atharva Ved, Bhumi Sukta. Bhumi Sukta is a hymn to the earth. It is a beautiful prayer in this Veda that praises the earth and shows deep respect for nature. Atharva Ved is one of the four Vedas of ancient India. It contains hymns, prayers and verses about daily life, nature, health, peace and society. The hymn begins by saying that the earth should be free from the burden caused by humans. This means people should not harm or overuse the earth. We must not pollute or damage it. And the earth is not the same everywhere. Some places are high like mountains, some are sloping like hills, and some are flat like plains. Because of these different landforms, some places are good for farming, some places are good for forest, some places are good for animals and humans. Then it talks about plants. Plants are like Earth's gifts to us. They give us food, medicine, oxygen to breathe, and without plants, life is not possible. And the earth is full of natural wealth. It contains soil, water, forest, and minerals. The poet is praying that the earth continues to provide these riches for humans. Then the most important line: the earth is compared to a mother because she gives us food, she protects and supports life, she provides everything we need. And humans are her children. So, we must love, respect and protect our mother. Where do humans live? Like most mammals, humans also live on land. But is the land same everywhere? No. Land is not flat and same in all places. It changes from region to region. Some places are very high, some places are flat and fertile, some are rough and rocky. Now imagine you are traveling by road from Chota Nagpur in Jharkhand, then to Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh and finally reach Almora in Uttarakhand. Do you think the land will look the same? No. On the way, you will see different types of landscapes. First, you may see plateau land in Chota Nagpur. Then you may see flat, fertile plains near Prayagraj. Finally, you may see mountainous land in Almora. So, Earth's surface has three main landforms and we are going to learn about them one by one. Now, let us understand what a landform is. A landform is a natural physical feature found on the surface of the earth. In simple words, landforms are the shapes of land that we see around us. And landforms are not formed quickly. They take millions of years to form because of natural processes like wind, water flow, earth movements and volcanoes. So, landforms are very old. And landforms are very important because they are connected with environment and life. Because landforms decide climate of a place, types of plants and animals, how people live and what work people do. So, landforms are mainly divided into three types: mountains, plateaus and plains. We will learn about each of them. Now think about this. Different landforms have different climates. For example, mountains are usually cold. Plains are usually warm and good for farming. Plateaus may have minerals and waterfalls. These landforms are home to many plants and animals. This is called flora and fauna. Flora means plants and fauna means animals. Finally, humans can live in all landforms, but the number of people is not the same everywhere. More people live in plains because life is easier there. Fewer people live in mountains and deserts. Mountains. What is a mountain? A mountain is a landform that is much higher than the surrounding land. It rises sharply above nearby areas. A mountain has a broad base at the bottom, steep slopes on the sides, and narrow summit on the top. So, when you see a very high landform with steep sides and a pointed or narrow top, that is a mountain. Some mountains are so high that they are covered with snow. Now, we must understand an important term, altitude. Altitude means the height of a place above sea level. For example, the height of a mountain, the height at which a plane flies, the height of a satellite, all these are measured as altitude. So, at lower altitudes, the snow melts during summer. When the snow melts, it turns into water. This water flows down and feeds rivers. That is why many rivers begin in mountain regions. At higher altitudes, the temperature is very cold. Here, the snow does not melt even in summer. Such mountains are called permanently snow-capped mountains. But not all highlands are mountains. Some highlands are lower in height and have less steep slopes and have rounded tops. These are called hills. So remember, mountains means very high, steep and narrow top. Hills means lower, less steep and rounded top. And what is snow? Snow is simply water in solid form that falls from the sky. Unless you live in a Himalayan region, you may not have seen snow. Himalayan regions like Kashmir, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh. These places are at high altitudes and they are very cold. In most other parts of India, we do not get snow. Instead, we get rain and sometimes hail. Now understand an important term, precipitation. Precipitation means water from the atmosphere reaching the ground in any form. It can fall as rain, that is in liquid form, snow, that is in solid form, and hail, means solid ice balls. Now, you may wonder why does snow fall only in some places. At higher altitudes, the temperature is very low. If it is cold enough, water vapor in the air freezes and falls as snow instead of rain. That is why mountains often appear covered with a white layer of snow. Snow and hailstones are simply water in solid state. Remember, mountains are usually not standing alone. Most of the world's mountains are found in long chains called mountain ranges. Examples, the Himalayas in Asia, the Alps in Europe, and the Andes in South America. Some of these ranges stretch for thousands of kilometers. That means they are extremely long. Now, let's see some famous mountains of the world. First, we have Himalayas in Asia. Mount Everest in Himalayas is the highest mountain in the world. Kanchenjunga is the second highest peak of the Himalayan range. These mountains are very tall and have sharp peaks. Mount Aconcagua is the highest peak of the Andes mountain and highest peak outside of Asia. Then we have Mount Kilimanjaro. It is Africa's highest peak and is special because it is not part of any mountain range. It stands alone, so we call it an isolated mountain. And we have Mont Blanc, which is the highest mountain of the Alps in Europe. Mount Anamudi, which is the highest mountain in South India and also called Ana Peak. Mountains with tall and sharp peaks like the Himalayas are called young mountains. Young does not mean a few years old. It means they were formed recently in Earth's history, but that is still millions of years ago. Mountains that are shorter and rounded like the Aravalli Range or old mountains. They have become rounded due to erosion over millions of years. In some mountains like the Himalayas, upliftment, that is rising of land, and erosion, both are happening even today. That is why scientists say that the Himalayas are still growing in height. Now let us understand what kind of plants and animals live in mountains. First, mountain slopes are often covered with a special type of forest called mountain forest. Mountain forest or forest that grow in mountain regions. In these forests, a special type of trees called conifer trees are common. Examples include pines, firs, spruce, deodar, and these trees grow very tall in a cone shape with thin and pointed leaves. Their shape helps snow slide down easily without breaking the branches. As we go higher up the mountain, the temperature becomes colder. At very high altitudes, big trees cannot grow, so trees slowly disappear. Instead, we see grasses, mosses, and lichens. Now, understand these terms. Moss is a small green plant and it does not have flowers or true roots. It usually grows in soft cushion-like patches. Lichen is a plant-like organism. It generally grows on rocks, walls, or tree trunks. Now, let us talk about animals. Mountains have deep forests, rivers, lakes, grasslands, and caves. All these provide shelter for many animals. Some examples of mountain animals are golden eagle, peregrine falcon, Canadian lynx, snow leopard, ibex, Himalayan tahr, mountain hare, yak, grey fox, and black bear. These animals are specially adapted to cold climates. Now we have two verses from the famous poem Kumara Sambhava by Kalidas. Kalidas lived at least 1500 years ago and is often called the greatest poet of ancient India. This poem begins by praising the Himalayas. Now let's see how he describes them. In the north rises Himalaya, the Lord of Mountains. Here, the Himalayas are called the Lord of Mountains because they are the highest mountain range in the world. They are grand and powerful. They protect the Indian subcontinent. The poet compares them to a living god to show respect and greatness. Next, stretches from the western to the eastern oceans. This means the Himalayas extend across the northern part of the India from west to east. The western ocean refers to the Arabian Sea and the eastern ocean refers to the Bay of Bengal. So, the poet is saying that the Himalayas are so vast that they stretch across the entire northern boundary. Now, the poem describes the wind coming down from the mountains. The wind carries spray from the descending Ganga. There can be several reasons why the Ganga is mentioned here. The Ganges river originates in the Himalayas and it is a sacred river in India. It supports millions of people with water. So, mentioning Ganga shows that the importance of Himalayas as the source of life-giving rivers. Then, the poet describes wind shaking the deodar trees and peacocks opening their tail feathers and cool breeze refreshing mountain people after hunting. This gives us a picture of natural beauty, forest, wildlife and human life in mountains. Now let us understand the importance of the Ganga. First, the river is called Ganga in India. In English, it is called the Ganges. The Ganges River is the largest river that originates in the Himalayas. It begins in the Himalayan region and flows across northern India. The Ganga is nearly 2,500 kilometers long and that makes it one of the longest rivers in India. Because of its great length, it flows through many states and supports millions of people. The Ganga has many tributaries. A tributary is a smaller river that joins a bigger river. So, here some important tributaries are Yamuna River, Gagra River, And both of these rivers also originate in the Himalayas. But not all tributaries start in the Himalayas. For example, the Son River originates from the Vindhya range, which is located to the south of the Ganga plain. This shows that the Ganga river collects water not only from the Himalayas but also from other highlands. Now let us understand how people live in mountain regions. First, the mountain terrain. Terrain means a stretch of land as seen from its physical features. Mountain terrain is usually rugged, rough and steep. Because of these steep slopes, farming becomes difficult. So, regular farming is possible mainly in valleys. A valley is a low area between hills or mountains. Often, a river flows through it. Since valleys are flatter, crops can be grown there. In mountains, people cut the slopes into step-like shapes. These steps help in holding soil and water. This method is called terrace farming. It prevents soil erosion and allows crops to grow on slopes. Now, in many mountain regions, farming is not easy, so people prefer herding. Herding means raising animals like sheep, goats, or yaks for livelihood. And tourism is also the another major source of income in mountains because the air is fresh and cool, the scenery is beautiful. Many people visit mountains to enjoy nature. Some people also go for sports such as skiing, hiking, mountaineering, and paragliding. For many centuries, people have also visited mountains for pilgrimage. Many holy places are located in mountain regions. And mountains have a fragile environment. If too many tourists visit, forests may be damaged, waste may increase, and wildlife may be disturbed. So, it is important to maintain a balance between tourism and environmental protection. Now, let us learn about two inspiring Indian women. First is Bachendri Pal. She began climbing mountains at a young age. She was very passionate and determined. She not only climbed mountains herself but also led many women's climbing expeditions. This encouraged more women to take part in mountaineering. In 1984, she became the first Indian woman to climb Mount Everest. This was a historic achievement for India. For her success, she was awarded Padma Shri in 1984 and Padma Bhushan in 2019. Now, let us talk about Arunima Sinha. Arunima Sinha lost one leg in an accident when she was just 22 years old. But she did not give up. With training and encouragement from Bachendri Pal, she prepared herself for mountaineering. In 2013, she successfully climbed Mount Everest, and that itself was a great achievement. But she went even further. She climbed the highest peak on every continent, including Mount Vinson in Antarctica. This shows her courage, determination, and strong willpower. For her achievements, she was awarded the Padma Shri in 2015. Now, let us understand the challenges of mountain life. Mountains are beautiful, but they can also be dangerous. A flash flood is a sudden flood that happens in a short time. It is often caused by a cloudburst, which is a sudden, very heavy rainfall. In mountain areas, water flows down very fast due to steep slopes. Rivers overflow quickly. Villages and roads may get damaged, so flash floods are very dangerous in mountains. Next is landslide. A landslide happens when a large mass of soil or rock suddenly slides down a mountain slope. This can happen due to heavy rain, earthquakes, or cutting of trees. Landslides can block roads and damage houses. An avalanche is a sudden fall of snow, ice, or rocks from a mountainside. It often happens when snow starts melting or when there is a disturbance in heavy snow. Avalanches can be very destructive. Cloudburst. A cloudburst is a sudden violent rainstorm. It causes flash floods and landslides. Even though mountains have challenges, people continue to live there because the air is clean and fresh and the scenery is beautiful. Tourism provides income, herding and farming support livelihood. Cultural and religious sites are located there, and many families have lived there for generations. So, mountains have both advantages and challenges. Challenges like flash floods, landslides, avalanche, cloudburst, and positives like fresh air, tourism, natural beauty, and cultural importance. Now, let us understand the cultural importance of mountains. Many traditional communities across the world consider mountains to be sacred. People worship mountains because they are majestic and powerful, and they are sources of rivers, and they support life. Now let us talk about Mount Everest. It is the highest mountain in the world with a height of 8,849 meters. But it is known by different names in different regions. The Tibetans call it Chomolungma, which means Mother Goddess of the world. The Nepalis call it Sagar Mata, which means Goddess of the sky. These names show how deeply people respect and worship this mountain. Next is Mount Kailash in Tibet. Mount Kailash is considered sacred by followers of Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Bon, which is an ancient Tibetan religion. For example, in Hinduism, it is believed to be the home of Lord Shiva. In Buddhism and Jainism also, it has religious importance. The idea of respecting and worshipping mountains is not limited to Tibet or the Himalayas. In many parts of India and the world, mountains are treated as sacred. Now, let us understand the next major landform, the plateau. A plateau is a landform that rises above the surrounding land but has a flat surface on the top. Its sides are often steep. So remember, mountain means high and pointed. Plateau means high but flat on top. And like mountains, plateaus can also be young or old. This depends on when they were formed in Earth's history. Two important examples are Tibetan Plateau, the largest and highest plateau in the world, and Deccan Plateau, which is located in India. The height of plateaus can vary greatly. Some are a few hundred meters high and others rise several thousand meters. Plateaus are rich in minerals. That is why they are called storehouses of minerals. Because of this, mining became a major activity. Many large mines are located on plateaus. For example, East African Plateau is famous for gold and diamond mining. Choto Nagpur Plateau has huge reserves of iron, coal and manganese. In many plateaus, the soil is rocky. Rocky soil is usually less fertile than plains, so farming is more difficult there. But there is one exception, lava plateaus. Lava plateaus are formed from volcanic activity. They often have rich black soil which is good for agriculture. And plateaus are also famous for spectacular waterfalls because rivers fall from a height. Some examples are Victoria Falls, Hundru Falls, Jog Falls, Nohukalikai Falls, which is 340 meters high. The Tibetan Plateau has an average height of 4,500 meters above sea level. That is extremely high. Because of this great height, it is called the roof of the world. Imagine standing so high that it feels like you are close to the sky. That is how high this plateau is. From east to west, it is nearly 2,500 kilometers long. To help you understand this, it is almost equal to the distance from Chandigarh to Kanyakumari in India. So, it is not only high but also very vast. And Deccan Plateau is located in central and southern India. It is one of the oldest plateaus in the world. It was formed due to volcanic activity millions of years ago. When volcanoes erupted, lava spread over large areas. After cooling and solidifying, this lava formed flat-topped land, which became the Deccan Plateau. Next is plains. Plains are large areas of flat or gently sloping land. They do not have big hills or deep valleys. That is why they look wide and open. Most plains are not more than 300 meters above sea level. Sea level means the average level of the surface of the oceans. It is also called mean sea level. We use it as a standard to measure height. Some plains are called floodplains. How are they formed? Rivers begin in mountain ranges. As they flow down, they carry small particles of rock, sand, and silt. These particles are called sediments. When the river reaches the plains, it slows down. It deposits these sediments on both sides. Over many years, this process makes the soil very fertile. Because the soil is fertile, they are ideal for agriculture. Crops of all kinds can grow well. Farming becomes a major occupation. Many people live in plains. Plains also support many types of plants and animals, that is flora and fauna. That is why most of the world's population lives in plains. They are easy to build on, travel across and farm. In this world map, we can see some major mountain ranges, plateaus and plains of the world. First, look at the color code. Brown color represents plateaus, green color river plains and orange color represents mountain ranges. Here we can see the Tibetan Plateau. Just below it is the Himalayan mountain range. Below the Himalayas is Ganga Brahmaputra river plain. Here we see Andes mountain range along the western side. Next is green Amazon river plain. Towards the southern side we see Patagonian Plateau. In North America we find the Rocky Mountains and Alaska mountain range, and in green we see the Mississippi river plain. In the north, that is in Africa, we see Atlas mountains. In the eastern part we see the East African Plateau. Along the Nile river we see the Nile river plain. Here we see Ural mountains which separate Europe and Asia. In Asia we see Mongolian Plateau and Tibetan Plateau. And here Yangtze river plain. And here we see a satellite view of the Ganga plain. The Ganga plain appears in green color because it is very fertile, rich in vegetation and densely cultivated. So, green color usually shows plains with crops and vegetation. Here we can see some light white lines representing rivers. They show the Ganga and its tributaries flowing across the plain. These rivers bring water from the mountains which helps soil become rich and fertile. The white expanse represents the snow-covered Himalayas. White color in satellite images usually shows snow, ice or very high mountains. And here it is the Himalayan mountain range in the north. And the brown expanse at the bottom left of the image represents Chota Nagpur Plateau. So the pattern here is Himalayas mountain range and Ganga river plain and Chota Nagpur Plateau. Long ago, people settled near rivers because the soil was fertile and water was easily available. That is how the first civilizations developed. Today also, plains attract many people. In the Ganga plain alone, about 40 crore people live. That is more than 1/4 of India's population. Since the land is fertile and river flows through the region, people mainly depend on farming and fishing. Because of fertile soil, many food crops like rice and wheat grow well, and fiber crops like cotton and jute are also grown. Earlier, farmers depended only on rainfall, but now they use canals and groundwater for irrigation. This has increased crop production. However, too much use of groundwater has reduced its level. So, while the Ganga plain is very fertile and important, it faces challenges like pollution, overpopulation and groundwater depletion. And rivers are not just water bodies. They have deep cultural value. Many communities believe that the source of a river is sacred. The place where two rivers meet, called a confluence, is also considered holy. In India, many festivals and religious ceremonies take place at such places. Since plains have a gentle slope, rivers flow smoothly. Because of this, boats can move easily. This makes river navigation possible. In earlier days, rivers were like highways. People traveled from one place to another using boats. Even today, along some parts of the Ganga, people still prefer boats. So, we studied mountains, plateaus, and plains. But the Earth's surface is more complex. One more important landform is the desert. Deserts are large dry areas where rainfall is very low. Because of less water, only special plants and animals can survive there. Not all deserts are hot. Some deserts like the Sahara and Thar are hot and sandy, but deserts like the Gobi are cold. Even Antarctica is considered a desert because it receives very little rainfall. And even though deserts have harsh conditions, people live there. In the Thar Desert, people have beautiful folk songs and traditions connected to desert life. This shows how humans can adjust to different environments. The ability to adjust to environment is called resilience, the capacity to overcome difficulties. In ancient Tamil Sangam poetry, land was not just geography. It was connected to human life, emotions and occupations. These landscapes were called Thinais. And there are 5 Thinais. First one is Kurinji. It is a mountain region where people hunt and gather food. Next is Mullai, which is a forest and grassland region. People reared cattle. Marudam, fertile plains. Farming was the main activity. And Neither, which is a coastal area. Fishing and sea travel were common. Palai, which is a dry and desert-like region, and people traveled long distances and often fought for survival. So these Pathinais show that the ancient people understood different regions very well and knew that human life is closely connected to nature. Where we live affects what we eat, what work we do, and how we live, and even how we feel. So in this chapter, we learned about the 3 main landforms of the earth. First, mountains are high and steep. They are cold and have beautiful forest and wildlife. Next, plateaus or highlands with flat tops. They are rich in minerals and are important for mining and waterfalls. Then, plains, which are flat and fertile lands where most people live and farming there is easy. The type of landform affects how people live. For example, mountains, difficult for farming but good for tourism. Plateaus, mining and waterfalls. Plains, agriculture and dense population. Landforms are not only geographical features, they are also part of human culture. Many traditions, festivals and stories are connected to landforms. Finally, every landform has advantages and difficulties. People have learned to adapt and live in all types of landforms. So with this, we have completed the one-shot explanation of the chapter Landforms and Life. I hope you found it easy to understand. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching. We will see you again in our next video. Bye bye.